Welcome back to Mufc RealistTV. Mick Ruby here. Goosebumps and absolutely shivers down my spine, knowing that there's going to be a major protest coming out arranged by 1958. And in this video, we're going to talk about something, a follow-up that I did 2 months ago. I did a similar video called Rest in Peace Manchester United before even the financial reports was reported out yesterday. The club is in a disarray at the moment. We're sinking down the abyss. The Q2 24-25 financial reports was revealed, and it's a grim reading. It is a grim reading, and we are looking at 1 billion in paid debt to service repayments of something that Malcolm Glazer did 20 years ago when he leveraged the club, meaning he bought the club on loan. That was an estimated of 500 million, which is now rising up to about 731 million, meaning that we are only servicing that debt by paying approximately 40 million per year, just servicing the debt and not really moving that needle. We've seen also investments from Sir Ineos or Ineos itself or Ratcliffe, but that hasn't really sort of moved the needle either, you know. So what we're going to look here in this video, surely the elephant in the room, if you are Ineos and Sir Jim Rattcliffe, you just don't put in 1-2 billion into the pocket and try to run this operation without even having a master plan. In this video, I'm going to look at some positives here. And what is that? What is the master plan of Ineos? What are they trying to achieve? We have been hearing of this project regeneration, and that got me thinking. That really got me thinking, because the first year at Ineos Rangers not being focusing on the pitch, it's been focusing on pointing the best-in-class people and experts in each area. And now we're seeing that they're appointing a new revenue officer that will generate and help them out to maximize their revenues. We can backtrack the tape from 1 year from now. But before we do that, guys, there's one thing we could do right here as a community. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. Hit that notification button as well. Set it to all settings you never miss when we go live. And let's start by thinking about positives, because I'm going to present to you 3 alternatives the way I've been connecting the dots. On this channel, we'll be always following the money, and we're also following the footballing matches as well. But from a financial perspective, when you read this report, it's red alert. There's red. We are 1 billion in debt. And how is this happening? There's over 300 million in owing in transfer fees, but that is money that has been spread out in amortization, like, you know, down payments. But the overarching reaching over to 1 billion is accumulating. And the overall takeover, let's start from the fresh. 2 years ago, the Glazers realized that we have milked Manchester United to the core bone. There's no more evidence to be taken out. There's nothing. They knew that 20 years of mismanagement has reached to an end. So they went, basically, because Manchester United PLC is a public listed company on New York Stock Exchange. So that means that you have obligations towards your shareholders in transparency to announce what you have to do. We saw Avram Glazer on that Thanksgiving 2 years ago, announcing the strategical review that they're going to do that. So there's been 1 year of them looking in, you know, what is the best alternative for us? We're looking at what is in it for me. So there was 2 alternatives. There was a full sale and there was a partial investment. Even that, the former CEO, Richard Arnold, was also caught on camera talking about to angry fans in a pub, saying that we need investments to invest in a stadium, the latest and the greatest, but the owners will not do that. So basically, the Glazers, over this period of 20 years of time, as we know it, have not put 1 single penny into Manchester United. As a matter of fact, they've just been taking it out and charging service fees as well. So the overarching 1 year of evaluation, they didn't put 1 single penny of their own. That was money that was put into the club. The lawyer's fee, the pay up the Rain Group, the evaluation, X, Y, Z. We all know that the Qatar was the best option. But if you're Glazer, you look at what's in it for me. Qatar offered the full package to clear the debt, to give the Glazer siblings a massive payout, 1 billion each, and to own the club. But the Glazers, on the other hand, were thinking, well, how can we stay? Is there a way we can stay here still and generate money? So in comes Sir Jim Rattcliffe, desperately pulling down his pants, but he came up with a brilliant idea, and this is evidential in the 1 year of Ineos range. This is my analysis. So I believe that final push for Sir Jim Rattcliffe and Ineos, by the way, came in to present this project regeneration. And what is that? You see that they discovered basically that the Glazers, or the Manchester PLC, own the land bank assets around Old Trafford. That's a lot of land, right? That is not being utilized. And I think that this project regeneration was also to present to the Glazers that we are planning to build 100,000 seat stadium. That is going to generate a lot of money, but without spending one single penny by ourselves. We're going to do that by simply acquiring sponsorship deals. So they've presented who is going to be part of this board, and we can simply see by the appointment of the best-in-class people rather than the footballing operation is specialists in each area for this project regeneration. Let's start off with the optimization to sort of trim that over-bloating squad and the, massive amounts that's been going out on wrong signings to be undone. Well, that is your Mr. Dale Brailsford, Mr. Marginal Gains Optimization. So he was the one leading the overall strategical review once Ineos actually got appointed. And we've seen the costing of the staff. We've seen the increase of ticketing prices, XYZ. That is his expertise, preparing, laying the groundwork. We also seen that they are trying to sort of get rid of the overinflating wage bill and almost succeeding, but it's going to take a little bit more time. You know what I mean? Then we've seen the appointment of Omar Barada, the best-in-class CEO, looking at the operational side of the commercial acumen. And then, of course, who sits there, part of the board? Jean-Claude Blanc. Now, Jean-Claude Blanc, in my opinion, plays a pivotal role in this project regeneration. Why? Because Jean-Claude Blanc, if you do your research, he was the president, the CEO of Juventus. When Juventus got relegated, Jean-Claude Blanc rescued Juventus by simply, during the relegation, built a new stadium on sponsorship deals. Meaning Juventus didn't pay one single penny. It was all generated by sponsorship, acquiring. And now we have seen evidentials that this new project regeneration is taking emotions. We've seen that the club, Sir Ineos, what am I saying, Sir Ineos? The Ineos delegation are speaking to the Manchester Greater Council, getting them involved to invest in the Greater Manchester area, meaning that the Glazers will still own the land bank, but you will build on their assets. The stadium itself was called the biggest stadium of the North, which is going to be 100-seater stadium. That was first thing that they talked about when they took over. Do you remember? That was the first thing they talked about. So, of course, they put in a little bit of money to upgrade the facilities around Carrington because that was absolutely dire, right? But they found out recently that this project regeneration is not going to take 2 to 3 years, what they expected. It's going to take 10 years to build. And we've seen the financial figures here and the overarching sitting 14th, 15th in the league, not potentially getting into Europa League, not potentially getting into Champions League. That's going to be dire. But again, they must have a plan because they're simply not mugged. They knew that the Glazers were desperate when they gave the 1.2 billion. Glazers were absolutely stent. That money never went into the club, by the way. Glazers took that in gladly in the pocket, but they were promised to stick around because of this project regeneration, and that is my opinion why they rewarded the contract and outsourced the footballing operation to Ineos. We can also evidently see right now what's happening with Ineos right now, because Ineos, or Sir Jim Rattcliffe Trawlers Limited, was the one that purchased the Class B shares, but that has now converted to Ineos. So Ineos is now the owners of the Class B, 27.8%. We've seen the latest also reports what's going on with Ineos around that. They are kind of dismantling the sporting ventures what they have. They're pulling out deals from Spurs. They are pulling out sponsorship deals with All Blacks. They are doing a lot of things, including selling some company assets like Ineos Hygiene. And what's next? We heard reports 6 months ago that they are looking to potentially sell Nice. Does that give you some positives? They are trying to put everything as one entity, as Ineos as one entity, into the Manchester United project. Is it the way for them to say, well, we gave you 1.2 billion, but you also gave us a deadline on 18 months? I'm just trying to think outside the box here, because when you are blinded by all these financial figures and everything that goes around the club, surely you're not stupid enough to write off the season, appointing a new manager in Ruben Amorim that plays a different style of play and suffering and losing games, and potentially get into a relegation and potentially get into, the championship, right? So is that Ineos having a master plans, genius stroke, which they are not communicating? So why would you come out and communicate what you're doing? That is pretty much sitting there with a, Texas Hold'em blindfold and showing you cards straight away. Think about that. That could be a possible, This could be a potential hostile takeover, forcing the Glazers to the table to sell. We've seen reports today, by the way, and let us bring us to the stage, because everyone is talking about this. And, Sky was chasing, I think it was Avram Glazer around. Let's play this clip.
The Manchester United co-owner Avram Glazer says his family have no intention to sell the club, despite the latest financial results showing the club's debt remains over £1 billion. Sky News US correspondent Mark Stone spoke to Glazer in Miami.
So are you going to sell up? Can I have a quick word about it?
So Mark is chasing him. Are you going to sell up? Like we've seen these reports before from Sky, 100%. Avram, the greasy ponytail, is rushing for a meeting. What is it going to say to him? Right, he's chasing him still down.
So are you worried that Sir Jim Rattcliffe has made things a lot worse for you with Manchester United?
And that's the wrong question. Do you worry that Sir Jim Rattcliffe have made it worse for you? I mean, shame on you, Sky. I mean, you're talking to a guy that had made us in this position, and he's talking about deflection. Sky Sport, get a grip. Get a grip.
He seems to be getting the blame, not you.
Yeah, that's true. He's getting all the blame, not you. You're sitting in the background.
I'm on my way to see the president right now. I don't think it's appropriate to talk about right now. Thank you.
He's away to see the president. Who? President Donald Trump?
Okay, but will you sell up? No. Okay.
No, of course he will not say it. No. That's a massive response. No, straight away. So, of course, they're backed in the corner right now, in my opinion. But I want to hear from your thoughts and feelings, guys. Because this, of course, with the financial reports, I see no other solution that they have to sell up. Yeah. There's no money coming in, of course, because if we are not making Europa League or Champions League, the sponsorship deal from Adidas and Snapdragon will be halved, right? Ratcliffe and Ineos have limited funds, but they're already pumped in already, so they cannot service the debt either. We've seen that they are trying to sort of salvage by increasing membership ticketing price for the rest of the season, announcing that we are going on a little bit of a post-match tour to generate 7 million. We are scraping the barrel, peeps. Yeah. But my question here, because at the end of the day, do we see any positives out of this? Is that, Ineos master plan to forcing the Glazers to the table? Because, guess what? When Trawlers Limited purchase in the purchase agreement says you have 18 months and you have a, objection on $33 per share. So if you're going to buy out, the minimum price is $33 per share, a Class B share, right? And knowing that the Glazers will not put any more money in, is this a master plan to say, listen, I might sound a little bit delusional here, but is it sort of done on purpose that we kind of sack the manager and appointing a new manager and just driving it to the ground, and rise like a phoenix? I want to hear from you guys' opinion before we continue. Big up for everyone that's tuning in. Let me shout you out. And don't, some of you saying Ineos out, Glazers out, Qatar in. Jarvis is here, Glazers out 100%. Glazers and Ineos. A lot of you saying Glazers in. Jason Attack is here to say Ineos will ball out soon, losing money and all around the railway. It's a full sale. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, Jason. So big up to you, Stu Wolves as well. Dino is here. Hey, Alien Tenor, what you saying here? Look what the Glazers done. The Tampa Bay fans made them to pay for the new stadium. Exactly, like, you know what? They threatened the Tampa Bay Council, like, you know, to sort of either you fund the stadium or we will move it to another state. And they caved in. And we've seen the similar model, what they are trying to do here, you know, knock down Old Trafford and build it somewhere else, but we're not spending one single penny, right? This is going to be generated by sponsorship deals. That's what I said, like, you know, that's why you appointed the best in class people to handle certain areas, like Jean-Claude Blanc. He did it with Juventus. You didn't have one thing that I forgot is the overall recruitment strategy as well. Yeah, we're going to undo the past by not doing those silly deals. Like we heard Ruben Amorim speaking, we're not going to make the same mistakes. So the appointment of Vivell as recruitment director tells you the story. Man United are building a squad for the future. We are hearing that we have no money in the summer. We need to sell to buy. But we're also going to look at bringing in the academy. And that's where technical director Jason Wilcox comes in, because he's the best in class, apparently bridging academy to the first team. So that is the reason why he is in place. Vivell is in place to scout up-and-coming talent and make them superstars in the future. And we're also going to look at how we're going to sell a lot of academy players, because not everyone is going to make it into the first team. So that is the overarching plan. Omar Barada came out to say that we are not going to challenge in the league until 2028. And that tells you the volumes in terms of what is the plan, right? But they're not communicating. So the question, what I arch here for you guys, are they looking? They're not stupid billionaires. Seriously, like, you know, they're not mugs. What Ineos does is do optimization. They do a lot of cuts, right? And we're seeing the trails going now. They are abolishing all the sporting franchise operations. They converted the Trawlers Limited Class B shares to Ineos. So that tells me one thing. Are they going to sell up Nice and put all the eggs into one basket and acquire majority of Manchester United, right? Is them fooling the Glazers that were desperate measures at that moment, that were desperately needed cash to give them 1.2 billion, but the long arching vision is to force them out. I just thought about that like the other day. I've been thinking long and hard. Gaming Sims, big up to you. Big up to the chat. Qatar of the renegated the land without going cap in hand. Well, guys, leave your questions and super chats in. There's a lot of you coming in here. I want to focus on the content. So I'm going to present to you a couple of options. I want to do this in less than 10 minutes. Some people call it conspiracy, but I look at finances. I look at connecting the dots, right? So the Ineos takeover plan, of course, costed us additional money, right? Because, again, this took 1 year in evaluation, and Glazers never paid it for themselves. They put it back into the club, the lawyer's fee and everything fee. So they evaluated the two bids, as what you said, you know, what's in it for me, okay? We had Qatar that had a verbal agreement. They thought they were winning the race because they offered the old Glazer siblings money, and they offered to pay the debts, and they offered also, you know, to make us great again. But Glazers didn't give a shit about that. They look at what's in it for me. How can I stay? Yeah, we always knew that they looked for strategical investors to give them some money. And in came Ratcliffe. They initially started with 61%. I realized what the Glazers really wanted. Surely they had a smart plan to say, aha, this is how I'm going to gain 61%. So they basically, in my opinion, in humble opinion, what we can see here, 1 year in ownership, they gave the Glazers money. That money never went into the club, by the way. They pumped in a little bit into the club. I think it was 300 million, which that money is now gone, right? We are servicing the debt, which is just servicing the debt, about 40 million a year. So we're not really moving the debt. And the project regeneration, they discovered it's not going to happen until 2032, right? That's approximately 8 years from now. So the master plan is the Glazers is not going to, we know that Glazers is not going to put any money in whatsoever. Ineos is not going to put any money whatsoever. Eventually, is them thinking that they will cave in. They're not going to take any dividends money out. They're only taking out service fee, but that's not enough. All right. That might be the plan, you know. And then we're seeing that over this arching year that the project regeneration is starting in motion already. They're already speaking to Greater Manchester Council. They've spoken to the government. They're looking at people who can sponsor and build that stadium, because that stadium is the only reason why the Glazers are hanging on. But with the blow of them finding out that it's going to take 8 years, we're not going to be around according to the financial figures. So plan B is then the both sits down and sells up. Cut your losses. I think that there was a report saying that Ineos was shocked that this is a harder job than they thought it would be. This is not just a club rebuild. I mean, this is not a squad rebuild. It's everything. We're talking about, the footballing operation, new people, new staff. And by the way, that has been vetted and appointed by Joel and Avram Glazer. So yeah, for sure. But we are talking about the overarching squad generation as well. We're talking about stadium build. We're talking about a full-blown club restructure that we're trying to do at the same time. So is it too much? We are in the red zone, guys. If you are 1 billion in debt and you're not generating more than 400 million in revenues, we are screwed. We're definitely screwed. So the most sensible thing is they both sit down at the table. They all come up with the idea to say, listen, let's just sell up, right? Let's just cash in, because we know that we are going to get minimum 33 bucks per share, right? Or alternative, we get a third party in that will help us out for the project regeneration. That means that we have more chefs in the kitchen. It's not going to help the club either. Or option number 3, which is going to hurt a lot for them and sabotage the project regeneration, is do a Todd Bowley Clearwater Capital. What does that mean, Mick? Well, we mentioned the land asset banks. They're worth billions, right? This is the reason Mark Goldbridge is also calling it out as well, talking about that. But it got to come to a point where you have to chip on your assets. You have to sell off the assets to service the debt and put the money back into the club. This is the last thing they want to do. This is the crown jewel why the Glazers is holding on, in my opinion. But the way I see it at this rate, it has to be done. It has to be done. It has to be done. Otherwise, as what I said 2 months ago, when I said rest in peace Manchester United, and people called me delusional, we are heading towards bankruptcy. We might be forcing to go to that stage what Abramovich did. He was forced to sell the club in an auction. Because one thing is, when you end up in administration, your naming rights, everything disappears. The license of a Premier League also disappears. I know that there might be we're staring at the abyss at the moment. We are petrified. This is the lowest that we can get. But I see it differently from that point of view, that there might be a possibility. There might be some patience to hang on as fans. I remember Sir Jim Rattcliffe was also saying that change doesn't happen with the switch of a light bulb. United fans needs to be patient. But what I'm not buying is the silence. They're not keeping the communication open, what they said. So you can just look at from a 1 year perspective what they're trying to do and criticizing, wow, they're cutting down staff, the increase in ticket pricing holders. But at the same time, are they trying to do a hostile takeover? Again, we've seen evidence the past couple of weeks, cutting out the sponsorship deals with All Blacks, cutting out the sponsorship with deals with Ineos, distinguish the sporting ventures, potential selling Nice, shifting the Trawlers Limited's Class B shares to the name of Ineos tells me one thing. That may be the master plan. Am I conspiracy theory, or am I just, throwing it out there for you guys to think, Let me know what you think. Curls87, what you say? Jay wanted that amount and more. That's why we're not getting people interested in United. Pure greed asking for billions more than the club was worth. 100%. Elite baller, but big up manager. You know what I mean? Mark Harris, Glazers lost 50 million on Mason Greenwood, has worth 80 million now. 20 games, 13 goals. You know what? We're talking about a squad. That is a total squad rehaul. A total squad rehaul. That's going to cost the club a lot of money. But I think they're looking at how can we now spend less money. There is method to the madness, peeps. And this is something that I applaud Ineos for doing. They include sell-on, 50% sell-on clause for players, right? Homegrown talents as well. That means that if we do sell Mason Greenwood to PSG or Barcelona, that's 50%. The club is generating 25%, right? 25,000 potentially. Depends on if we sell him for £50,000, that's 25. Another one is Alvaro Fernandez, 50% sell-on. Another one is Marcus Rashford, homegrown talent. We're definitely going to sell him for 60 million. So there will be approximately 135 million for the summer, only selling one player, is that Marcus Rashford. And of course, then you try to sort of force out Casemiro. That's happily said he's not going anywhere. You're seeing Christian Eriksen potentially leaving as well because his contract is expiring. He'd be a free agent. Lindelof, a lot of those players. But the problem remains is Mason Mount. How are you going to solve Mason Mount and Luke Shaw? Would you just take the money and rip up the contracts and move on? And start from there. Project rejuvenation. So we have on the squad rejuvenation of the squad and project regeneration regarding the stadium build and everything else. So I thought about it. It's not really doom and gloom. Yes, it is when you're staring at the red flags, red figures, but you got to think at the long term as well. What is the plan, right? We are definitely understanding what it means. What Omar Brada said, we're not going to challenge in 2028 for anything because it's going to take time. Yeah. So what is the solution here? Not spending money and still be competing. Well, of course, we are talking about the academy players. We saw in the bench 9 academy players sitting on the bench. It's going to be blended in. From the now for the remaining of the season, I believe that we're going to see more and more of these kids play, getting regular minutes, being introduced. And then in the summer window, we have had the opportunity to assess them, knowing that potentially we don't need to spend that money in the summer window. We might get 1 or 2 players. We heard pre-agreements of Kwanda. We heard the pre-agreements of Victor Osimhen to come in, and that might be the 2 signings that we get. But on the other hand, the squeaky bum time is the PSR rules that was supposed to kick in this season, but he's been postponed for next. So we are definitely fucked, in my opinion, financially. But what do you guys say? You know, what you're saying here, Curls, you agree with you. All the Glazers wanted was the sale, and part sale was with the earn money. Yeah, 100%. You know, let me back to Chip. Yeah, that's a comment I read. I want to hear fresh comments. I want to hear fresh comments from you guys, what you say. I want to hear your opinions. Like, it is squeaky bum time, what you're saying here, whispers of foreign truths, yeah? Because we're trying to sort of speak the truth here. We're trying to look at, you know, think longer than the nose, because when you've been shocked, it's the illusion, like, you know, it's just, here's the problem, but see broader than, you know, don't be like the tracking horse that you don't see the periphery. Like, you know, we've been hit by the financial reports, and there's no way you can sugarcoat it. There's no way other than think, what is the plan? What are you trying to accomplish? Knowing that Ineos cannot pump in more money. They've already done that. And we know that they are not going to service the debt. The only way is to buy them out. Yeah. And they have an agreement that they can buy them out at $33 per share. So again, I throw in out there, is that, you know, Ineos now potentially selling Nice, getting rid of all the sporting franchises, reducing the sponsorship cost to put all the eggs into potential hostile takeover Man United to be the majority of the shareholders. Once you are the majority of the shareholders, then you can clear the debt, because that debt is the elephant in the room. That debt is hindering us from moving forward as a club. You know what I mean? Because you are basically literally spending £40 million a year just to service the interest rates. That is a player that you can buy every year. And there's no guarantee, even if you sell certain players, that that money will go back into the squad, rather than utilize that money to service the debt payments, which is 40 million per year. It is a little bit the unknown, what we don't really know, but I just want to bring it out there as a hypothesis, right? So therefore, I'm very much keen and interested to hear what you guys have to say. You know, please come with your comments. I'm reading it now. The plan is Onana and Rasmus. You're having a laugh, mate. No way. I want to hear some sensitive comments. Like, what is your comment regarding what I just mentioned? Like, is it me just talking gobshite here, or is it like, thinking further down your nose, actually? Jay is saying, my opinion is we will not succeed under any manager with these owners and current players. They are not good enough, and none of the Amarin's fault. Poor guy. Yes, 100%. Look, Jay, if we are sticking on your topic there, Jay, look, let's just back the tape, right? We have not been sustainable in having a system that suits every manager. We've been basically never completed a total rebuild of a squad ever since Sir Alex left. But if you then compare it to Liverpool, City, they already have a plan in place. So what Liverpool has done with Arne Slot is pretty much plug and play. Yeah. So it's the system is there, the players are there, they're playing the same. All Arne had to do is come in there and just tweak it a bit, press play, and off you go. But Man United, if you just take it back a notch, since Sir Alex Ferguson left, yeah, we played a 4-3-3, expansive, counter-attacking football. Then Moyes took over, sacked the whole backroom staff, just ripped up everything that Sir Alex Ferguson did. That didn't last long, 6 months. Then we came in with Louis van Gaal. At least we saw some pattern, but it was pragmatic. He won us an FA Cup and get sacked by Jose Mourinho, the champion, the one that have won a lot of things. He played more pragmatic. That didn't work. Again, recruit for that manager, recruit for that manager. So never overhauling the squad. And there's been players lingering on from each and single manager. And then he got sacked 100%. We got Ole Solskjaer in. Happy-go-lucky again. Yeah. Everyone thought, oh, a club legend, yeehaw, yeehaw. But still, same players, but just tweak it a little bit more counter-attacking. That didn't last either. He got Cristiano Ronaldo in for the shirt seller of the sponsorship. Yeah, that didn't work either. We got Ralph Ragnick, Mr. Open Heart Surgery, that called the Glazers out to say this cosmetic surgery doesn't need to take 3 years. It could take 1 season only. So he knew what he was talking about, but the Glazers didn't like that. He was not even offered to be the consultant anymore. So who do we bring in? Erik ten Hag. Erik ten Hag, they played a fucking expensive football, possession-based style, the up-and-coming in-hipster manager. Everyone came in. Fantastic first season, finished third. Right, cool. Won us 2 trophies. But Ten Hag recruited for his style of play. But what was his style of play? He never played his style of play by Ajax. We were confused. What he was trying to do? That didn't work. So the Ineos himself did a mistake the first year. They wasted 40 million. It cost a lot of money, according to the financial reports. It cost them a lot of money. Instead of, Instead of just sticking to Ten Hag for the remainder of the season and give Ruben Amorim, this summer to recruit for him, to have time on the pitch, have a preseason, they went in and sacked Ten Hag. And the financial reports saying it cost us a lot of money. 14 million and plus more. Not even to talk about the backroom staff. And then the sacking of Dan Ashwood, the sporting director, they paid him up 5 million. Again, damning, right? Hitting a toll. The guy, a massive payout for a guy that was there two months only, right, in the job, right? So for me, they wrote the season off by sacking Ten Hag. And was that the masterstroke plan to sort of say, well, we're going to fizz out the Glazers at the end of the day, right? We're going to sink down to the rock bottom and rise like a phoenix, but we are going to do that without the Glazers. You know what I mean? So that kind of tells you the story that we have never had a proper squad rebuild because we never completed the cycle. Every 18 months, we sacked the manager and recruited new players. And here we are with Ruben Amorim calling it out. He ain't going to change the system. He's sticking with his 3 in the back. 3-4-3. He's exposed a lot of players. And he's been promised now in the summer, according to Fabrizio Romano, it's going to be a massive rehaul. But in what terms they're going to do it, I just presented you how the club can do it. Right? As I said, they've been smart by including 50% sell-on fees for certain players. So the only one player that's going to be lucrative is Marcus Rashford. If they sell him for 60, so all of a sudden you will have 130, but what you're going to spend it? That is your Quenda, 35 million pounds. Victor Osimhen for 65 million. You still have money to spend. And potentially you're going to sell some academy players as well for pure profit. And this is the way the club is going to move forward. And that is the reason why Christopher Vevell is there. It was promoted as recruitment director or head of recruitment. But looking at the overarching financials, it's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to be enough. Sooner or later, the money is going to dry out. If we're talking about not getting into Europe, you know how detrimental would that be, right? We're seeing the injury crisis right now. So are we now going bank on the kids to get us to the Europa League final? Getting to the Champions League? That's a lot of things to ask. So I think that panic mode is there with Ineos at the moment. And that's what I think that I've been seeing. They are selling off a lot of the sport franchises and sponsorship deals. Potentially going all in one egg, Manchester United. That is my analysis. That is what I've been finding out. But at the end of the day, I want to hear from your opinion. If you're watching this in retrospective, leave your comment down below, right? You might say, Mick, what you smoking? Or Mick, that's just a good angle, potentially. But we will only see. The proof will be in the pudding, people. The proof will be in the pudding. So I want to say, Carlos, big up for being a member for 20 months. Thank you, Carlos, for sticking out. Guys, if you want to become a member, it's super cheap. It's only €1 to become a member. So please, if you want to support this channel, donate, become a member, super chat if you want. I know the financial situation right now in Europe is horrible around the world. I don't expect you to super chat, but if you do, you definitely support, because it's definitely free content what we're trying to do. Let me see. This section is about me reading your comments. Almac is coming in here saying that some people think Erik ten Hag was successful because of the 2 trophies. We weigh his 2 trophy against 660 million of horrendous transfers. Was the 2 trophies worth it? No, it wasn't really. And back then we had, like, Murtaugh, incompetent. Why did we pay 72 million for Rasmus Højlund? That was an upcoming striker. We got absolutely rinsed. 95 million for Anthony. Absolutely rinsed. And this is why they come out to say they're trying to undo this mistake. We're not going to do the same mistakes. Those days are over. So this is why I've been calling to say that Ineos are the contractors. They are the janitors, fixing up the Glazers mess. But if you are the contractor and janitor, surely you're going to have a plan to get rid of the pesticides, which is the Glazers. And I think that they are not, mugs. They are Ineos. They are quite smart in what they're doing. So surely they need to have a plan in how we can get rid of the Glazers, which is the stumbling block for the club to moving forward. Yeah, there is some speculation. Is he a Man United fan? He keeps saying that he was at the final 1999. He's a boyhood fan. Then he invested into Tottenham Hotspurs. It's a business, right? He bought Chelsea season tickets holder. He tried to buy Chelsea because he said it in an interview that Ineos' plan was always a dream to own a Premier League club, no matter what. But now Manchester United, if Manchester United is for sale, they definitely go for it. I'm not bigging them up in any shape or form, but from a operational perspective, I can see what they're trying to do. But on what cost of the fans? And this is now walking up 9058, which I'm definitely going to be the 9th of March if there is any possibilities to protest. My critique about Sky Sports, my critique regarding Sky Sports, they're only populist, but where are you supporting Manchester? This is Manchester United. This is criminal. You're only coming in here when it's appropriate. Gary Neville on Sky Sports and the overlap only come in because he's been compromised. He's been paid up by Ineos and the Glazers because he's part of the project regeneration. But what I want to see is more mainstream media backing the 9058. This is the biggest heist ever. This is criminal what's been done. You bought a club on leverage debt and you never spend one single money. The iconic Old Trafford is rotting. You are not doing anything. And you appointed a consultant in form of Ineos to rectify your mistakes and hoping that they're going to make your money in 8 years, 10 years down the track with the stadium rebuilt. But guess what? That's not going to happen. You were sold the pipe dream by Ineos, potentially saying that it's going to take 3 years. But the reality is there's a lot of paperwork that needs to be done. There's a lot of bureaucracy that needs to be done. There's a lot of, engineering that needs to be done. Certainly if you go to Qatar or Dubai, they pull up a building in 2 years, no problem at all. They comes up like mushrooms. But this is not Qatar. This is not UAE. This is England we're talking about. There's a lot of labor laws. There's a lot of bureaucracy and stumbling blocks at the end of the day. At the end of the day, peeps, well, you got a point to MVP. Sir Jim Rattcliffe, he cannot save United. Yeah, he cannot. I mean, the money that have already put in, that's the last bit they can do. The only thing that could juggle around this massive juggernaut is to do the cost cuttings, right? But only that alone, cutting costs of the staff that doesn't deserve to be fired and increasing membership prices, potential season ticket holders, it's not going to make a dent. Doing a post-match tour in US, and that's basically plugging a small bit of the hole, 7 million, 40 million that they're going to generating. You know what I mean? Big up Catherine. How do we sell Mountain Shaw? Well, it's basically take the money, rip up the contract, and just get rid of them, right? I don't know. It's down to them to solve the problem, right? At the end of the day, Kath, there's massive problems. It's not just one problem that we need to solve. It's the whole club problem, right? As what I said. I've never seen anything like it before, but this is what you get, yeah? The back's against the walls, and we are trying to find a solution. Every single Man United fan channel and everyone is sitting there talking. The protest 1958 needs to take place, but you have to bring in forces like the main Sky Sports media to back it. If we get the voice of Sky Sports and all this BT Sports and everything to back us, then the voices will be multiplied, And the one thing that Ineos care about and the Glazers is their own reputation. This certainly hurting the brands, but you know what? I spoke to Steve from 1958. There's massive things coming. We're not going to say more, but get involved if you're down in the Greater Manchester area on the 9th. We're talking about Arsenal, Man United. Support 1958 without incriminating yourself. Do it peacefully, right? It's going to be massive. The protest is back on. This is the chance to take back our club. When we're saying this is the perfect moment, you only got to look at the financial figures that was released yesterday, knowing that there is no way out other than you sell the club, you sell the land bank, as it's what I said, or Ineos does the full hostile takeover. Let me know in the non-live comment sections which 3 of these options what I presented to you now is most feasible. Number 1 is basically Ineos doing a hostile takeover. By what we've seen, they are distinguishing all the sporting operations of their own, selling up Nice and putting everything into Man United to acquire the remaining of the Class B shares on $33 per share. Number 2 is that they both sell up. Yeah, come November, they sit down like the Glazers did 2 years ago, announce a strategical review. That means that they invited people to bid again. You cannot simply go without being, you're a public listed company. You cannot just go secrecy and sell the club. It has to be publicly announced. Open up the bidding, right? Does it lead that, Qatar comes in again and start? I don't know, man. I don't know. Or does it lead that they are just looking for another, investor to help them out, to pump in another 2 billion into the club? Will that go into the footballing operation? Will they go into the pockets? And this time, if they do so, it needs to go back into the footballing operations. And number 3 is sell the land bank assets like a Togboli Clear Water Capital and put it into service the debt and the footballing operations. That is the 3 options that I can think of. Let me know if you come up with a 4th option. By doing so, leave your comment in the 9live comment section. Guys, I got to wrap up the stream. Thank you for everyone that's tuning in. I could not read everyone out, but I see Red Rebellion, LFC, Liverpool fan is here. even we have Liverpool fans coming here saying Ineos are looking forward to that new stadium being erected, and so are the Glazers. And that is what we are, most of the people. Even rival fans are seeing that, what's happening, right? Even rival fans. I just want to thank you, everyone, for tuning in. As per usual, leave your comment. I'm sorry I could not leave. We went over the time. But again, go over the 3 options that I mentioned to you and leave your comment in the non-live comment section, guys. Thank you for watching. This has been Mick Ruby from Mufc RealistTV. Hopefully, there's something positive coming out of this. Hopefully, they have a plan. Until then, we are suffering with Ruben, but we have Everton on Sunday, guys. Glory, glory, Manchester United, as per usual. Glazers out, Ineos out, Bankers out. We want our club back. Thank you for watching. Peace. See us till the next.
Thank you so much for stopping by and watching MUFC RealistTV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on the socials.